Tomorrow, you will have the chance to weigh in on a major project that will impact almost every single one of us. NCDOT plans to expand I-77 again, while also adding toll lanes from Uptown all the way to the state line.
It's going to have a major impact on your commute, and it could drastically change neighborhoods along the interstate as well. Joining us this morning to explain what's on the table, Jen Goodwin from the Department of Transportation. Jen, thanks as always. Good to speak to you.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So the DOT holding two public meetings, one tomorrow, one Thursday. I'm going to go over those details coming up in just a minute if people want to go and attend. What are you hoping? What is the DOT hoping comes from these meetings?
So these are very important meetings, like you mentioned. This project is a long time in the making, and I want to give you guys a little background to help your viewers understand how we got to this point. It goes back to 2007 to a study that was done called the Fast Lane Study. It was a partnership with NCDOT, South Carolina DOT, the City of Charlotte, looking at corridors around the Charlotte region to see which ones might benefit most from implementing express lanes. And the I-77 corridor was identified as one of those arterials that would benefit from implementing express lanes. And by law in North Carolina, only local planning organizations can approve toll projects. So that comes in our area from the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization. So in 2014, that organization submitted a project for prioritization to include toll lanes on I-77. And so now that is in our NCDOT's 10-year capital plan, our 2026 to 2035 STIP. And so we're looking at adding two express lanes in each direction along 11 miles of I-77, basically from where it ties into the existing express lanes near the Brookshire Freeway, going down to the South Carolina line, and it's going to touch every interchange along I-77 in that area. It's the most expensive project we've ever embarked on in state history, over $3.2 billion. And it's going to be very challenging for us because it's in a very densely populated area. There are a lot of environmental challenges, and of course the challenges of minimizing impacts as much as we can to any communities. And that's why public engagement and public input is top of mind for us. We have gone out to communities early. We've held a lot of small group meetings with a lot of communities that are right along this corridor. We started having small group meetings back in January. We've had 25 of them, and we have reached over 800 residents in those communities. And we are continuing our public engagement process of the project right now by having these public meetings this week. And we want to see more neighbors turn out and share their thoughts with us.
Jim, we certainly appreciate you giving us the backstory and the history there to help our viewers understand some more. I think you used the word challenging 2 or 3 times because this is a challenging task for sure. You've got to address the growth that's happening in the area. You have the commutes that are just far too long for so many people. There's also the dislike of their toll lanes. There are people who just don't like the toll lanes. And as you said, a very thin strip of land to expand 77. So how do you juggle those priorities?
So one thing I want to mention too is the importance of addressing the congestion, because this section of I-77 has not been widened since the 1990s. And as you know, the growth of Charlotte has just continued. And so we cannot do nothing. Safety is our first priority. So doing nothing is not an option for the department. And the crash rates on this stretch of I-77 are 2.5 times the statewide average. So that is, again, very something we don't want to see continue. And we want to ease the congestion. We want to help alleviate it. And we want those crash rates to come down. So we need to address those issues. More than 160,000 cars use this section of I-77 on a daily basis. That's only going to continue to grow as we expect to see probably more than 4 million people in this area by the year 2050. And so we have to do something. We also have, of course, the challenge of so much development on both sides of the interstate. So we have to take that into consideration. We have to consider impacts to the environment with a lot of water resources nearby. We have a lot of historic landmarks. We have cemeteries. We have parks and greenways. It's a densely populated area. So all of these factors make it challenging. And then again, the cost itself, $3.2 billion, is making it difficult. But the one thing too that's very important that we have on our side too is the involvement of the CRTPO. They have been a very valuable partner because they want to be very transparent and want to help with lessons learned from the I-77 North project. So they formed a working group, volunteers from the CRTPO board, to come alongside to work with NCDOT and to identify very important low and high impact financial terms to help develop those things that are important to them in seeing a contract. And one of those is making sure that the tolls are going to be affordable, because that's important to make sure that people are going to use them. And we want to be able to provide a reliable travel time for drivers and make sure it's something
just
they
interrupt
can use.
just real quickly, because
Yes.
I want to get to everybody, because including I want to talk about the northern toll lanes, because if you've been here any longer than 5 to 10 years, you know them. But I want to show, and I interrupt because I feel like I have to walk people through this. One of the maps of the project, and when we put this up, it's sort of sensory overload, because you're like, wow, what am I looking at right now? To give you some idea, there in your center of the screen, that's the football field for JCSU. So off to the right would be the interchange for Brookshire and 77. Then you had got the 5th Street interchange and Trade Street, I believe. The northern part of that right there, you've got a number of neighborhoods. You've got Wesley Heights, you've got McCrory Heights, you've got Oaklawn Park. That's what people are looking at right now. As you know, these are historically black neighborhoods, and they've been through this before. Over the decades, interstate expansion has divided and taken away homes. Understanding that this is necessary and that growth is necessary, how is the DOT planning to address the legitimate concerns of some of these neighbors?
And that's where we are right now, Ben, with having those community meetings. And we have met with neighbors in those communities. And we have had face-to-face conversations with them and hearing those concerns they have. And those are concerns that we are taking seriously and trying to address as we are moving through the design process. It's important to, those maps that you're looking at are preliminary. They are not final designs. And we are still in that preliminary phase of the design process of this project. We're years from construction. We're years away from moving any earth or anything like that. So we're going to have opportunities for more engagement beyond these public meetings this week. So this is not a one and done. We're going to have more chances to have more meetings with these communities and to have more opportunities to talk with them and to hear what they have to say. And that's why we want people to come to these meetings. We want them to be a part of the process. We want them to talk to our project team, because they're right there on the ground, and they see things that maybe we don't see, or know things that maybe we don't know, that are going to help us as we move along through the development of this project. And so whether it's an email, a phone call, whether it's even a handwritten letter, all of the comments carry equal weight as we continue to move through the process. And we want them to come alongside us, to collaborate with us, to help us create a project that's going to work for everyone.
Because these are the people who live there. We do have another graphic. We know that one option, Jen, is an elevated toll lane. Of course, that keeps a smaller footprint, a smaller impact on communities. Is that something that might also be considered? We're showing that graphic now. I'm not sure if you were able to see it, but that would, again, a smaller footprint.
I do see it. Yes, that is an alternative that is being considered. And again, like I was just saying, it's not final, but it is one that is under consideration. So we're not at a point yet where we've made a final decision. So we encourage people to just provide their feedback. Let us know what's on their mind. Let us know their thoughts.
Okay, now let's go back to the I-77 express lanes north of town. Because it does strike me there's so many folks who move here every single day, and they drive that right now and they enjoy it and they think not a thing about it.
Right.
But as you know, they were the hot topic for years on end, 8 or 10 years ago. I don't need to remind you of that. What are some lessons taken from that situation that the DOT is now using to approach this project differently?
So that was the first public-private partnership the state ever took on. I think the market has changed. The industry has changed now that we're a decade removed from it. There are more companies that do this type of work. And we have had a lot more engagement with the CRTPO on this project, several years worth of meetings and update meetings. And we've asked the CRTPO to kind of tell us what's important to you, and they've done that. But want to remind your viewers too that this is something that the CRTPO has requested, that they've requested this project. This is not something that the DOT has pulled out. So, we're delivering this at their request. So when they have asked for information, we've provided it at their request. But one thing too is they've been very vocal about they want to have this working group. They want to create these terms, low and high financial key terms that are important to help drivers get more out of this. And also, we've had a lot more interest from the industry this time around too. We had an industry forum in Raleigh back in September. I think we had almost 270 attendees. And we've also had some meetings with some industry representatives. So there's probably going to be a lot more competition this time around when we get to the point where we can start accepting bids, which is probably going to be still some time in the future. But we're probably going to see some pretty robust competition for this project because there's a lot of interest.
There's a lot of stakeholders.
Yes.
In a situation like this. You've got the commuters, you've got neighbors, you've got the city, you've got the state. So many people, and it's important we get this right for the future of our city. And part of that is making sure folks weigh in. So
yes, definitely.
Keep that in mind.
Yes.
Jen, thank you so much for taking time explaining this for all of us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a reminder, folks, the meeting's happening tomorrow. The first one happening at the Innovation Center on Johnson C. Smith University campus. That's tomorrow from 4 to 7. If you can't make that meeting, the other one's happening Thursday at Silver Mount Baptist Church from 4 to 7 p.m. as well. Get involved.